Well, hello everyone. We're back again with another episode of My Turn, My Truth. If you were just with us, we had some technical difficulties, but we are back right now, and we're glad. Hopefully, things will hold up on this end. But My Turn, My Truth is a platform that when it's your turn, you tell your truth. Right now, you're looking at the Rice Man. Who do we have with us tonight?
Mara.
It's your girl Ken. Follow me on TikTok and Instagram at M.KENNEDIII. Y'all know, and also subscribe to me and Mom's YouTube channel at Rice Girls Official.
And also follow us on all streaming platforms for the My Turn, My Truth podcast. We're on all streaming platforms where you can find podcasts.
Yeah, that part right there. So, just to go ahead and jump back on into where we were last week, we had a very spirited debate and conversation which centered around. I brought up a topic about the intentional decline or of masculinity in men in the United States or in the world in general. But I live in the United States, so that's what we were talking about, and how we have been feminized and everything masculine about men is now negative. I brought up, the fact that whenever we are in our manhood, we're called what is it?
Misogynistic, toxic,
controlling terms like toxic masculinity, and things like that are associated with masculinity today. So, and from that, we talked about it spawned into various conversations, and I don't have them all up. Morgan, you may have some of the comments up, but
I can pull them.
It stemmed into another conversation. I'll let my wife jump in.
So, and off of what he was saying, we wanted to do a part two because of everyone in this room and some of the people that have was viewing and actually commenting via the Facebook Live was very passionate about, how the conversation was spinning off into different directions, because we know that when there's a man and a woman dynamic and how a man is supposed to treat a woman and vice versa, and masculinity versus submission and submissiveness, that conversation, it's teetered around to be taboo, which it shouldn't be because it's spiritual law. So it was conversations that was taken out of how when men are trying to be masculine, how women view it as controlling, and or they view it as manipulation with things that men are trying to explain to their significant other or their spouse on certain things. And I think that one example was when a woman dressed a certain way and a man say something to the woman about how she's dressing, the woman look at that as a sense of control. And then we had
Right.
someone not call in, I'm sorry, had somebody key in that it all depends on how it is being said. And the conversation took a life of its own from there. So, but then Morgan, we have some comments that we want to read over in regarding to that. You guys can go back and watch last week's episode, which was March 24th, and you can find that on My Turn, My Truth YouTube. And you can watch both parts, March 24th, and then today's date, March 31st.
My Turn, My Truth YouTube podcast
on YouTube.
Yeah, My Turn, My Truth podcast on YouTube. And you can also go to our My Turn, My Truth Facebook page
and watch it
as
live
well,
there.
and watch it, all previous episodes there as well.
Absolutely. So we had a question that we missed last week about the how women dress. So LaDonna Powell said, so how can, or rather why do men become so protective when it comes to how we dress, yet they are attracted to the very look they don't want on you? It's catch 22. If I'm comfortable in my femininity and I know it's not doing too much, it's hard for me to receive him telling me that I need to rethink my outfits when I know that it's considered sexy or appealing on other women.
Oh,
Hmm.
okay.
Okay, LaDonna.
Well, when a man has a spouse, all right, we want you to look like a lady when you were not with us. You can be sexy with us. I guess one of the questions around this is, why do you want to look sexy when you're not with your man? Because to me, being sexy when you're not with your man, it draws attention, and we know that. It draws a lot of attention. You're going to get stares. You're going to get people coming up to you, talking to you, trying to get, because you're putting on something that's a draw. It's saying, look at me, I'm sexy. And if you have a man and you're secure with your man, it's like, why are you taking applications? why are you out looking like you're on an audition for someone?
Okay.
And so what is the point? Now, when my wife is on my arm, I want her to look as sexy as possible because she's on my arm, and then other men are looking at me like, man, Marlon got him one. God, he got him one. It's a badge of honor for me. She's on my arm. I'm there to make sure nothing doesn't happen that shouldn't happen, and we good. But when you're solo, what's the reason for wanting to be sexy?
What Reese say?
She said you ain't answer. So I think he did kind of answer the question as far as just because they would rather you look like that with them. And I think we talked about this last week where I believe it was more so when you're with them, they can kind of control the situation better if anything happens or anything is said, or because you're with them, things are more likely to not happen because you're with your man or whatever. Like men won't typically try to approach you rather than if you were alone.
Well,
Maybe.
I guess
that's like,
and I can't kind of speak from LaDonna's standpoint. She's I don't think she's viewing where she can correct me if I'm wrong, but when she say to the point of why men want to see or like to look at women that look sexy, but then don't want their significant other to look sexy. And I guess Marlon was like, why would you want to do that without your man? Some women just like dressing like that, whether they married to someone or not. That's just how they dress.
Yeah, and I don't believe that.
So
I don't buy it one bit. I just feel like you are trying. Sexy is something different. Looking nice, looking beautiful, looking. There's a lot of things, but sexy is you giving off sex appeal, but your man ain't there. So why do you want to give off sex? The root word of sexy is sex. Why do you want to give off sex appeal when you're not with your dude? I think, you can be beautiful, you can be a lot of things. You can want to be sexy, but you're always looking, that's an attention grabber, in my opinion. And we can phrase it, we can all play around and say, no, this is how I dress. I like to look like this. I dress sexy for myself, because we're going to hear this. We're going to hear this all the time.
So if a woman say they dress sexy for themselves, who's a man to tell them that they're not, though? If it's truly a woman that dresses sexy and she dressed that way majority of the time, and she said that's just like the way she likes to dress, who is a man to say no, you don't like to dress like that, you're just doing that for attention?
I can say this. I can say, if my job is to protect you looking sexy out amongst men, it diminishes how I can protect.
Yeah.
I can say that. I can say that this puts me at risk. It's going to have me out fighting and shooting. And what if somebody disrespect you? It heightens the chance of somebody disrespecting you, coming up to you, doing something that you don't want them to do. Because men know the very nature of men, because we're men.
Right.
Women get raped. They get what you call them, sex trafficked. They get a lot of things because of how they present themselves, and you don't want your woman, when you're charged in protection, to put herself and you and your family in a situation that could be potentially volatile. Why would we want
Okay,
that?
but
I
that's
don't
an
think
acceptable answer versus just saying that nah, she really don't want to look like that.
I said I didn't believe it.
Right.
I don't care if you accept my answer or not.
well,
I mean, I'm
and
just
the
saying
balance
that's my answer.
Okay, we have a comment to that. Well, let me say this first before that. I have friends that like the bralettes that look kind of like a half shirt, and it's like the little bra type, and it's lacy and stuff, and they just like to dress like that. They dress like that when they're with their boyfriend. They dress like that when they don't have a boyfriend. They dress like that in middle school. They dress like that in high school. Some people do just, that's my style. I like those clothes. Just like I like t-shirts. I like that.
And it's going to be women. It's going to be very rarely that men consider them wife material.
And that doesn't mean that they just don't like to dress.
I'm saying,
like
look,
that.
I'm saying that you can dress however you want.
Right.
Yeah.
But you got to know that if you have a man that doesn't like that, then that's an issue.
Yes, but what we're responding to is you saying that you didn't buy it.
But I've gone way past it. I've said so much stuff after that.
Correct.
So we can go back to saying I don't buy it. I really don't buy it. That's just a personal opinion of mine. I think women want to be sexy for a reason because they like the response they get from it.
So that goes back to
that's one of the things that I believe. That's one of the things I believe. Correct. In addition to the protection part.
We heard all of it.
Who said that a woman is wearing a half shirt and all that to give off sex appeal? Like, some people just like those clothes. Like, it's just a thing.
Didn't like them.
I mean, it's just sometimes it's not, oh, I want to give off sex appeal. I think that's cute. I think that's cute, and I'm going to wear it.
But when you're in a partnership with another person in a partnership, if he doesn't like it, there is an issue.
Absolutely.
You can't keep overlooking the point
that
nobody
is overlooking that.
Hold on, because now we're taking it from the point that she just might like it. I might like it. That's just how I dress. She always dressed like that with you, with him. But now I'm just going to the point where what if when your partner or spouse has an issue? That's where we are.
That is what we are. But we do. No one at all overlooked that. We took a step back because of a comment that you made. Is why we went back to address a comment that you had made about.
How long are we going to stay there? Okay. Can we go somewhere else?
Okay.
Let's talk about it some more.
Go somewhere else.
Let's talk about it some more.
About when you said that when your man is there, that's a badge of honor. So Minister Reese said, why is looking sexy in audition? Why can't she also be her own badge of honor? Which you said that was going to be said.
Of course. That's a normal answer for women. So yes.
But that's
thank
a
you
good
for being normal,
Reese. Why can't she be
typical and run of the mill?
Why she can't? But that is a good question. Why can't she be her own badge of honor?
The answer to the question is she absolutely can. But what if it's an issue with your spouse? If you don't have a spouse, you don't have an issue, right? You can dress like that to the end of times. Every day, Reese, all day. Dress like that. But when you have a spouse and it's an issue, that's where I'm trying to steer this right here in that vein.
But we got multiple types of people listening in. We not everybody ain't just married people. We got people that are single people. We got different points of view. So
for the record, I'm not talking about single people. Because who cares what y'all dressing like? You know what I'm saying?
If the people who are also out there looking at them.
No, we're talking about a husband and wife dynamic. That's how we started off in a relationship. If you're not in a relationship, who's going to be the guy who is there to tell you that they don't like it? So then I'm not talking to you or about you. Okay? That is my point.
Okay, so to this, because I kind of think this goes with another comment that LaDonna made last week. She said, so how, okay, no, not that one. Okay, women don't like to be undermined and talked down to regardless to what is said. This is about more so the how of what is being said. And she also said, to speak to a woman with sarcasm that she internalized by knowing her man is definitely something that will carry over as disrespectful. And the only reason I read this comment is because, Dad, you have been so sarcastic just sitting in that chair. You absolutely can. That came off as sarcasm. So I think this is the perfect comment for that, because it did come across as sarcasm.
I wanted to be very specific that who I was talking to when I gave my answer. You can call it sarcasm, you can call it whatever you like.
No, I'm just talking like now, just like right now.
That's not sarcasm.
But
that's meaning you can call it whatever you choose. Okay. And I'm being sarcastic.
She said, an example, you can ask me of anything, but not tell me to do SHIT. LaDonna? Last week.
Well, LaDonna's man, don't tell her to do nothing. Only ask.
Well, I feel so. I am going to say this. I'm going to say that it is a give and take in a relationship, and there is mutual respect in a relationship. And I feel like a husband can tell a wife certain things, and I feel like a wife can tell a husband certain things. That's just how it is if you are in a committed relationship. But I think like how this conversation derived was the masculinity of it all, and how when men try to be men and try to be the protector or try to be the leader of the actual home, when they express how things should be, then the women want to rise up and be on the same level as the man. And that's where the conversation went to. I think what Reese's comment was, it's not the point of the respect part. It's all, but not that's not the point. Let me take it back. It's the point of the how in the conversation, which when it leads to other dynamics. And then I think we were talking about at the time that we get so focused on the how it was said that we lose the track of what is being said.
Okay. And to that, Brian said, again, they don't like the message that is being delivered and trying to deflect the real issues. That's all they do. Even if it's sarcastically said, they are missing the point of the subject and the issues. And I do want to respond to that because I do believe, sometimes you can get sidetracked. So I agree with you there, Brian. You can get sidetracked and take away from what is being said. We all have in this room, everybody has agreed to that. So yes, it is about the what is being said when it's coming to being protective. And I do also agree with Ralph, when it comes to being in a relationship or a partnership, if your husband don't like your outfit, I really don't think it's that big of a deal to go back and forth. If the outfit is showing a lot and they know how men think and they think that you shouldn't wear it, that's a partnership. Yep. Everybody want to talk about compromise, then just don't wear it. I don't think it's that deep. Me, just personally, I don't think it's that deep. I don't think it's about a man trying to be controlling. I think they're trying to help. I mean, they wouldn't want something to happen to you because you're going out without them and you're vulnerable to a man. A man is stronger than you physically, faster than you physically. More than likely, if something was to happen to you or they was trying to get to you right then, you couldn't do anything. So I do agree with that. But I will say that doesn't mean that the how isn't also an issue, Brian. Because if a woman feels like that hurt the feelings, I don't think it has to be addressed right then because we're talking about something else. But I do think that the how is still an issue. If she didn't like that, I don't think it has to be brought up. You can't talk to me like that. I think could be brought up later on, like hey, when you said this, I didn't really like the way you said it. Later on down the line, I don't think it has to be a heated argument, but I do think the way you talk to me is still an issue.
But why would it be a heated argument if you say something to me that I deem disrespectful because it is in a tone or it's sarcastic or whatever the case may be? Because if I am saying something to you and we're two adults and we're having a conversation, then if you can't address a how in a hot second or a hot minute, and it's going to derail the whole conversation because I say I didn't like the tone in which you said that to me, and that's going to derail the whole conversation, then it's more a problem than not, in my opinion, because I feel like we are two adults and we should be able to talk about it. And how that can demise is, okay, I may have came off the wrong way, but I'm trying to do dot to dot to dot to dot, or get you to see dot to dot to dot. That's a quick fix. That is a real quick fix. But to just totally disregard what another adult in the conversation is saying, it's just like it's a one-way conversation.
Okay. I have a question. How did we get to when men totally disregard what we're saying? Did I ever? I just for the sake of this, I'm just asking the question for the sake of this conversation in the last one. We jumped to the point where women are being totally disregarded.
Right.
All right, and I'm trying to figure out.
How did we get there?
How do we get there?
I
want to know.
It's real easy.
I can tell you as well. I think it was because when we were talking about the how and women harping on their like
emotions,
we don't like how it was said. I think it turned into we don't like how it was said because we feel discarded. Not because of what y'all said. It wasn't anything. I think it just kind of took a turn that way.
No. Let me say my take on it.
Yeah.
So I feel like it came back because we were particularly having a conversation about the demasculation of men in America. Like how their masculinity is always looked at as toxic masculinity or insecurity or whatever the case may be. And then someone put it into the comments, is how it's being said, because it can lead into being controlling and or manipulating. And when the word how came, that's when the whole conversation shifted to women always thinking about their emotion. It don't matter how I said it. It's the matter is what the facts. Men think off facts. Men talk off facts. And when we say XYZ 1, 2, 3, we use the example of the clothing, but when we say it, it's because of you step into the protection role.
Okay.
And so, but what the women was trying to say is just because you're stepping in a protection role, that don't mean that you talk to me any kind of way or disrespect me. And the word how is what brought that in.
But we got to talk to any kind of way, and disrespect became a focal point somehow.
I think that
the reason it became a focal point, the reason it became, I'm telling you why. You can talk, but let me tell you the reason why it became the focal point, because that piece was totally disregarded. The how, it don't matter how I said it, because that was stated on the podcast. It don't matter how I said it. It matters what I said. Okay. So that's where the disregard come in.
For the people out there, I want to say something. Whenever humans hear something or somebody rebukes them or somebody tells them something that they don't like, nobody likes it. No matter how you say it. If I want to go somewhere and you say, Marlon, you can't go, and you say it the nicest possible way that you can possibly say it, you're still telling me that I can't do something that I want to do. I'm not going to like it regardless of how you said it. And no matter how you said it, I'm going to take it negatively because it bumps against what I want to do. That's what men, that's not just a women thing. That's human thing. That when we get told we can't do something that we want, we're already at a you got me back on my heels. I'm in a defensive posture. Now the how takes on so much more because it really doesn't even matter. It really didn't matter how I said it. I'm still not gonna like it. And I think that's the part of where a lot of men were trying to get to was you don't like what I said. Period.
Yeah.
Now we're going to accentuate the how I said it to be the focal point of the conversation when we could be talking about what I said. And now the conversation has shifted to the how. When you didn't like it anyway, I don't think it would have mattered how I said it.
Okay.
And now we have it's taken on another meaning. Now we started this off with I don't want you to do that. Now we're talking about and focusing on you don't like how I said what I didn't want you to do.
Well, LaDonna didn't focus on the how. She focused on the what. Nobody ain't gonna tell me what I can wear.
That's LaDonna.
Okay.
Right. LaDonna.
I have an answer to your question from a person that was very into the conversation, Ministries from last week, because she said when you're asking how it got to disregarding, I believe this is what she's responding to. She said, because my perspective was immediately, in all caps, immediately, turned into an example to prove a point and not examined as an opinion of merit.
Okay. I'll accept that. It's just the fact that we knew what you were going to say. I mean, I said it before the podcast. I said it before I made my statement. And I said, and I'll take that on the head, that there are reasons, Reese, that if I had exampled it merely on merit, I would have said, yes, there are times that we say things in a way we shouldn't have said it. That is an example that attracts away from masculinity, or it's a reason why people bump against masculinity, because masculinity can sometimes come off abruptly. And maybe if I had looked at your example and looked at it merely on merit, when somebody is being controlling, misogynistic, or narcissistic, that's how it's perceived when you bump against something that you want to do. There's always a reason that we don't like something. You know what I'm saying? And I should have. And if I had read your message merely on merit, I should have had a different conversation, Reese. I will agree to that.
And so Ralph said, is there a such thing as constructive criticism?
And I think that's where like the same thing as like rebuke, because I think that's kind of like the same thing, constructive criticism and rebuke. So I think that's
constructive criticism should be done in a proper way that is constructive, meaning it has a point to what we're saying, the criticism. Mm-hmm. So yeah,
I just want to say, I think a lot of times, and I'm just being honest, and it's not like really like a big thing, but I think a lot of times, because women are just naturally softer and everything, sometimes when men say things, because we're not as like aggressive, some of us just buck up too, but because we're just naturally made softer, like more emotional creatures, sometimes, like, even if it's not meant to be aggressive, or even if it wasn't like all that aggressive, sometimes we see it more as aggressive because we're just softer than men, and sometimes it comes off, I think we look at it as more aggression when it's more like how they say when women get passionate they get loud or something like that. It's kind of like that. When men get passionate, it could come off to some women as aggression because we're softer than y'all, maybe, I think.
Yeah.
But then
that's possible.
I mean, even if that is possible, that goes back to knowing your spouse. Right. I mean, yeah, I think it's deeper than, oh, I'm a man, you're a woman. I'm a man, you're a woman. We are connected, and at some point, we are going to have to know how to talk to one another in order to get the whatever, whomever trying to make the point across. Right. Because if not, you're just it's just wasted conversation, because no one is getting anything from it.
Right. I have a question. Mm-hmm. And this may all right. I want to ask a question to Reese, my wife, my daughter, all the women that are watching. Do you today in 2025, do you see your man in a headship way? Do you see him in a patricentric way where there is a hierarchy? Do you see your man as a leader a head, an authority figure in your relationship with your man? Do you see him in that way? Because this is going to answer a lot.
Oh, go.
This is going to...
Shoot, go, Mom. You're the married one.
Yes.
So you go
I
first.
do. I see my husband as the leader of my home, as the leader of my life, and as the head of my life. But I feel, and the but is not to disregard anything that I said. It's also a conjunction of what I'm saying. So I should say, and I feel like, although my husband is all those things, because I am a part of him, then he should also take the matter of me seriously. Not only from his perspective, but also from mine. Because how are you gonna lead me in a sense that you don't holistically value me? And I'm not saying that about you, because you do. That's not what I'm saying. But I feel like we get so caught up on position. We get so caught up on, yes, I do. Did you ask me? So yeah. I'm answering my way.
All right.
We get so caught up on.
No, go ahead.
And you waving. This is what we talk about with the dismissal.
No, it's not dismissal. I want to give everybody a chance to answer the initial question that I asked. Now you're going to something else, but keep going. Just go on till you stop.
Go off, Mama.
Keep going. Go on off, baby. Go on till you stop.
I mean, but that's what
just go till you stop.
Wait. Since we paused,
I'm saying go on.
I heard what you said.
Since we paused, Brian said she is going to lie.
I'm gonna lie.
When Dad asked the question, do you see your man as the head?
So Brian, enlighten me. How do I see him? Since you know me so well, how do I see my husband?
And he said the word "but" is not an injunction; it's a rebellion. State the word and is an injunction.
And I corrected myself.
It means
she did.
Also,
and I corrected myself.
She did.
I corrected myself. So you want to go on the but, and you don't want to go on my correction. So here's again is what we're saying, because ain't no one on this on this platform on this side, nor on the platform on that side, has said anything perfectly. Okay. So there you go.
All right. The reason that I asked the initial question, I know we can broad up, we can get on there. I'm just saying we can keep going
like how you do.
I just wanted to know, did women see their husbands or their mate, spouse, in a leadership role, an authoritative position, headship position? Because that's something that a lot of women don't see anymore. They see we are equal, we are the same, we are a lot of things. And I feel like we're equal. I feel like men and women are 100% equal, but we are not the same.
We're not.
We're not the same, but we're equal.
Right.
Different roles, different things, but we are indeed equal. So I do believe that. Just wanted to know, and seeing some of the people that saying that they see, I see a definitely from Reese. My wife said yes. Morgan, you said, what was your answer?
I'm not married, but yes, I would if I was married.
Okay, so
good answer.
And I guess where I'm going with this is, in my life, when I see, or I'm working with someone, or in a relationship with one, or in a group meeting or whatever team, and there is a leader, and I am not the leader, I'm on the team, I'm on whatever I'm in, that person in the leadership position has some things that I don't have, and is able to do some things that I can't do. I have never been able, if he's the captain of the team and I'm just on the team, I can't necessarily match energies with the leader of this team, or my manager at work, or my boss here, or whoever here, because they have a mantle that I'm in a submissive role in at that time. And as men, we are in submissive roles a lot of times. to other men, and sometimes they work to a woman or wherever like that, wherever it is, we have all, even in the household with my mom, we've been in submissive positions. And I have never been able to match energies with the leader or headship in that position. So I'm not seeing that, because if we put that person in a headship or a leadership position, we should know they're going to be able to say some things. If you're the leader of your meeting or congregation or your team, you have the right to call the meeting to subjection, to make executive decisions. If you're the head leader or the or authority figure in your position in whatever you're in, there's some things that you have the right to do. And when they exercise that right, you being in a submissive position in that role, there's some things that they can say, they can do based on information that they have, being on the rights that they have, being that they have been tasked to lead this or head this or do this, that everybody doesn't have. So there are going to be some time that they're going to be able to say some things, do some things, even say something how I don't like it, that I'm going to have to accept. But as long as I put them and I have them in that position, I understand that I can't match energies with them at all points.
Okay. And we have a response in chat.
I got I got a lot of responses as well.
It is because, in all caps, I believe he is the leader, that I have a standard. I have to trust my leader to be submissive.
I don't even know. I kind of don't understand what she's saying.
Oh, I feel like the last part was the most of, like, she said, I have to trust my leader to be submissive. So just going off of like that, like the standard that women have for men, she's saying she has a standard because he's the leader. So I have a standard for you. So if I don't trust you, I'm not going to be submissive. Is basically what she's saying.
So you're not gonna be with him.
Trust
basically,
you to be submissive.
So basically, you're not gonna be with him. So Ralph said, he said a lot. So I'm just gonna try to catch up. Mm-hmm. He said the matrix is a hell of a machine. When there's a leak or problem, it automatically reboots itself. And then there wouldn't be any issues in relationships, finance, health, almost anything if we were living in a healthy, organic culture. Okay. The game of chess explains the roles and values of people in the kingdom. The queen is extremely valuable and flexible. The king is more stable and grounded. So those are Ralph comments.
Yes, and Ministry said the standard of communication. So basically, the standard that she's talking about is communication.
Okay.
I was saying that because Dad said he didn't know what she was talking about.
So here's the thing. I feel like when everyone knows their role, then there will be more harmony within the relationship. When everybody knows their roles. But Marlon brought up a good point that I didn't even bring up myself, because he said that we are equals, but we play different roles. We play different positions. So I need to correct myself no, because I don't think I said one role is not more important than the other. They're Absolutely. Both equally important. So, but what I will say is, in the examples that you use as far as the hierarchy, even in a hierarchy, you have the right, if you're not led in a dictatorship type hierarchy, you have a right to answer, to ask questions in that particular hierarchy. Not to say that the questions or the conversations that you have will change the final decision, but it's not like the final decision. You're saying that you made a final, and you correct me if I'm wrong, if a final decision is made and that final decision did not sit well with you, whether you're in the same role or not, or whether you're the leader or not, you still have a right to communicate on that I don't want to say issue, on whatever that is.
Right. So I guess the assumption is, because we keep hitting this brick wall of the assumption is guys when they say something as simple like you're not wearing that.
I'm not even talking about that.
The assumption is that the guys that all the women are talking about is the guy that's saying, I don't want to hear it.
I said what I said.
My foot, and I have never made, since we've been on this podcast, I have never made these statements. But we keep getting to the far right of this saying, hold on. He won't hear me. I don't have a chance to ask questions. He's just a narcissistic person who
not
demands.
True.
So, but yes,
my comment didn't come from that. My comment came directly from what you just said.
But I'm just saying, we get to these points where the far right is he won't allow this.
We didn't get to that point for that. I got to that point from what you just said out your mouth.
But I never said. I'm just saying that we keep getting to this point of a guy not allowing women to talk. Just let me say this.
I'm trying to tell you how I got to that point. Because you said how I kept getting to the point. I know how.
So allow me to continue. Mm-hmm. Then you'll have your point to say your truth. Okay. That we men are so narcissistic. We pound the pavement and say, this is it. We don't hear logic. We don't hear your reasoning. We don't want to hear what you have to say. Like when you have one of those people, because this is a rare guy y'all are talking about, who won't listen to you at all, doesn't care about your opinions, doesn't care about how you feel about things. We slam the table and say, this is what's going to happen, and that's that, my way or the highway. This man that we keep getting rebuttals about, this guy. But what if he don't let us? And what if we don't? All right, so now we at this guy right here. So let's talk about this guy.
The guy that dressed, the girl that dressed a certain way.
So let's get to this, because that's a normal thing that happens.
Okay, and
this is not for these people. That's probably a normal thing that happens.
So we're at this guy, this real asshole of a guy who don't listen to nothing like that. This is not the guy. I don't think this is the everyday guy. You're gonna have some of these guys. He does not represent all guys, okay? This guy should, when my marriage is at its best, I take all the counsel from my wife.
You do.
And I take it and I say, oh man, she's smart. Because when they talk about wisdom biblically, they talk about wisdom as a woman.
Right.
And I take my wife's wisdom, and I will always bear into consideration that most of the time, that's the way we go. Because a guy's, his internal system is to want to please his wife and do what she wants him to do. He wants her to be happy. So we're going to lean that way most of the time to try to keep peace and make things happen, make sure she's happy, make sure everybody's happy, because that's kind of our role, right? But we keep getting to this guy who just is a complete narcissist, okay?
No.
And that's where we keep going. But what about when? But
you keep repeating yourself. So let me.
I'm just trying. I don't want to keep going
times. You know, I
haven't said it 10, but I was gonna get close. Yeah. I was about 3 or 4.
Okay,
but don't exaggerate.
So I'm gonna get into what I'm saying and what got me there, because you did it from a hierarchy standpoint. And when you were now it's my turn. You did it from a hierarchy standpoint. And you did. And you said from the hierarchy standpoint, when there's certain things that you're not going to be able to ask, there's certain energies that you're not going to be able to match, it's certain things. And you laid that out. So that's why I got to the point that I was at.
No, we was already there. All the comments from day one, we were talking about the controlling, manipulating narcissist from comment number 1. I'm saying, so we're already there.
So we're there, or we here? Where are we? I'm trying to follow the conversation. I'm trying to follow your example that you just gave, and it wasn't from a day one conversation. It was from the conversation that you gave about the examples of hierarchyship, and you did it for a manager, a team, a pastor.
Because my point was, if we saw him there, or whoever that person there, we act different. If we see them there.
Yeah.
If we don't even acknowledge them or see them there, then of course we're going to act different, right?
And that's what she was responding to.
But no, I'm saying that if we don't even first see them there, that's challenge number one, that I don't have him there or her there or whatever. I don't have him there in my mind. I don't have him here. We're here, and I don't have him there. So that's the start of the problem.
To that. I didn't respond to that
to what you just said.
But I'm done though.
Anyways, Minister Reese said maybe the men here can't understand the perspective of an insecure man, which is right because y'all aren't. So maybe y'all can't understand that perspective who do the things we are describing. And just how you said this is a rare man for the people that you know. This might not be a rare man for these people who are in these relationships because they probably are in relationships and they see this often. So for you, it may be rare. It might not be rare for someone else.
I disagree, Reese, that the roles are comparable. Leadership is leadership. Headship is headship in everything. Period.
It is.
And if you acknowledge your leader as a leader, then you give them certain
level of respect.
A certain level of respect,
reverence.
period. And when I see relationships, a lot of times, I don't see the level of respect there. And there may be both ways I don't see the level of respect. But I don't see the level of respect there. And I was likening that, I feel like it isn't always how he says it.
It's that
it's
you don't
what
like.
He says.
You don't like what he
you
says.
don't like presents a challenge. And I think that those two things can run. There's a very thin line between I don't like what he said and I'm bumping against it to I don't like how he said it and I'm bumping against how he said it. I think either way, it's just not liked. And we harp on that, and that becomes the focal point.
She says she agrees with what you're saying.
So Ralph said the kingdom doesn't fall without the king getting checkmated. I don't know what that means. Can you put something else in there? What that means?
Oh, also, Ralph,
I mean, I guess I could go where I think he meant, but I don't want to if it's not the right place.
Also, Ralph, my brother's on the other page responding to you. He said that you should write a book.
Don't boost his head up.
No,
I'm just playing. I'm playing Ralph.
And I want to go deeper. Can we go a little deeper? I think the frustrations in marriage and relationships come from the original sin. I mean, it's the curse.
Yes. Okay.
We know what the curse is.
The fruit.
That our relationships, Satan attacks our relationships based on what men and women don't like and like the most. So God, when Eve initially was manipulated by Satan, Adam followed suit. There was a curse levied by God. He said that men, he cursed Satan, then he cursed the woman. He said, you will have, pain at childbirth. And a lot of Bibles say, and your desire will be to control your husband, but he will rule over you. Some say your desire will be for your husband, but he will rule over you. And then he cursed the man and said, you will toil and work. You will toil in your work. You will work till you die. You will always have to work to provide. It never won't be a time. You will always labor. You'll be able to eat from the fruits of your labor, but you will continue to work. So men, because of this, the original sin, men bump against the fact that I got to work all the time. I got to provide all the time. I can't take a break. If I eat, I have to work. I got to work to support my wife because I'm the provider. I got to work to do this. I got to work and I got to work all the days. It won't come a time when I can relax. I got to work. Men bump against that because that was the curse. That hurts. It's a curse. Women's curse was you have pain in childbirth and you will have a desire to control your man, but he will rule over you. Women bump against that. Men bump against the work. So we knew from the beginning of time, women didn't want to be controlled by her man, her husband. And men didn't want to have to work just all the time. So we know that there was going to be a dynamic where Eve didn't want to listen to Adam. She would usurp Adam. God in the curse said, no, you will listen. Your man will headship and he will rule over you, whether you like it or not. Women bump against that, and we bump against our curse, that we will have to work and toil in the field, and the thorns and thistles we put on our head from our work. We forget that started the relationship clash.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? So
yes, I agree to that, but
use the word but.
I am using the word but. What I'm thinking that women, I'm not gonna say necessarily me, but what other women, and based off these comments, what I think, me personally, what I think they're getting at is, yes, that is the curse that you said, but I'm thinking that they're feeling like some people take this rule over you too extremely.
But I mean,
And
rule over
I'm
you
not
is rule over
saying
you. Is
yes, and I'm not saying that because all men don't do this. You are right, and the men that they're talking about typically probably are the narcissistic ones that you were talking about, that they're talking about. So I'm thinking that maybe that they're thinking that some men are taking that to the extreme or taking it too hard. And I think also because certain people hear this and they don't know the word, and this is what they're hearing from you, and you know the word, so they're going to say, well, he knows the word and he said this, instead of having your own interpretation and looking at it yourself. You take one thing and then you run with it. And some people do. I'm not saying that I've experienced that, but I'm just saying, like, I'm thinking that these are the type of men that they're talking about. Maybe. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I think that it is from the beginning of time. I do think that part of it is women don't want to be subject to man.
Okay.
And whenever there's an authoritative role or stance from a man, a lot of women, not all women, will bump against that at its core. Because they don't want to be subject. So they want to be like, no. And I think a lot of women to circumvent the curse will say, I'm not getting married, I'm not having babies, there ain't no man telling me what to do. And that is the stance of a lot of modern day women is, can't no dude, they get to pull a hair, no dude can tell me what to do, and they can do this. So now they have the stance of, because they bumped against this from the beginning. Mm-hmm. This is something that women have bumped against, is that. And now they say, I can make my own money, I don't need no man, so I don't have to have anyone telling me what to do. I think this is part of the original sin and the curse. And I think it's playing itself out. I can tell from the responses. And I understand that a way to try to levy that is for men to always come to women in love. Because that's also in the Bible. And right, it is. And if we came in love and everything like that. Forget about this part of that. No, I'm saying that.
No, I'm saying that. Okay. I know you're saying that. I'm saying some people are just don't exit that part.
But it's still at the very core. If a woman does not want to be subject to any man, she won't be. And there will be excuses to the end of time why she won't.
Right.
Yep. Well, and those are the type of women that you just don't wife.
But those are the choices that you make. I mean, if you cannot follow the spiritual law that was put out there, and you know you ain't gonna be able to follow it, then maybe it is better for you to stay by yourself. But anyway, Ralph said the man is masculine energy, the woman feminine energy. We get both energies from both people, different levels from different people. That is correct. Right. And sometimes us men are playing the feminine role while the woman is in the masculine role.
That's how
that started. So Ralph, you wasn't even a part of last session, I don't think. And that's was the basis of the conversation. He said, when debt collectors call, I put my wife on the phone. But no, and that's the thing. So we were trying to get down to, and I'm just gonna say, because there's already a thing of toxic masculinity out there. And so my thing is, women, since you can identify toxic masculinity, what do you think healthy masculinity look like?
You're asking men?
I said women.
Yeah. Oh, women.
Since they can identify what toxic masculinity look like, what is healthy? Because you got to have a reference of what you think healthy is if you're pointing out what toxic is.
And to double back on that,
Now I want some
since there's
answers.
toxic masculinity, there also can be, if we're just being real, and can there also be toxic femininity? I want to know.
Well,
Since
if
there's toxic masculinity, can there and is there toxic femininity?
But I don't want to stir
Yeah,
off
that-
off
There's
my
not a
question.
coined phrase for that yet.
Yeah, I was like,
I'm
yeah,
just saying,
but
like,
right.
yeah.
each parties can be toxic. The men, they just have a name for theirs.
We get it. We get
Mike,
what you're
Mike
saying.
Brown said you just can't take a dog and make him into a cat. It is what it is. And I think, Mike, literally we're seeing that. We're seeing that men are saying you can't say this. You can't be aggressive. Aggressiveness is a man trait. You can't tell your sons a dog. You can't tell your sons,
Right, Ralph.
don't cry, son. Walk it off. Because, the old aggressive men say, son, walk it off. You ain't hurt. Get up and walk it off, boy. You all right. When there will be mothers typically will coddle, and men will be like, boy, just leave him alone. He'll be all right. Because they're the different roles, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you need both. But
yeah,
what we give to our children is preparedness for the world.
True.
We prepare you.
That is true.
From what's going to happen. All the arrows, we letting you know it ain't going to be easy. People going to talk to you bad. So if every time I talk to you bad, you cry, then what's going to happen when you get to the world? So we saying that, son,
collapse.
You're going to collapse. So it's sometimes that I'm going to say some things to you in a not so perfect way that you're going to have to understand what I say and move forward and not break down and cry about how I said what I said. So it's fine we talking to our children that it's sometimes you're going to do this because the world is cruel. So our role is different as men. We're teaching men. We don't want to teach our daughters to be masculine. We're going to teach our sons that, son, you're going to have to, in the face of all of this, I need to teach you how to stand up to it and not be emotional all the time and crumble.
And I agree with you on that. And you're gonna say, and Ralph kind of stabbed at my question. He said, "Toxic, anything is obvious. Balance is the key." You're absolutely correct.
Got a response as well.
Balance is absolutely the key. To my question?
Yes,
okay.
Ministry said to your question about what is healthy masculinity: assured leadership, clear communication, resources for the household, fidelity and emotional availability, and honesty.
All right. Okay. And I guess my question to Reese is, have you ever followed a leader that has had assured leadership all the time?
No.
That has clear communication all the time, who has resources for the household all the time, fidelity, who is emotionally available all the time, and honest. He should be honest. They should be honest.
That should at be least.
Yeah, and
that's an easy one, Reese. Understood.
Be.
There's sometimes as a leader that when you don't have the opportunity to be all those things, you're gonna make us. You're gonna say this what needs to happen right now. Okay, we're gonna get to the other stuff, but this is what needs to happen. Reese, you have been in leadership in times. I'm almost positive that you didn't have the luxury to be that in all occasions all the time.
So that's why Ralph said that it has to be the balance is the key.
She said no one is all of those things all of the time.
Correct. So, and it goes back to what Ralph was saying, that there has to be a balance. Because, and when I say a balance is, I feel like it should be a balance of not necessarily, it has to be a balance of all those things. But I think with any true leader, you still have to, like Marna said, it's you're not going to be those things all the time, but you have to be able to admit when you're not those things.
Right.
And not saying that, oh, I got to fall on my sword type of admit or feel like I'm dethroned because I was not standing in this, because you're human. Everybody is human. But the fact of the matter is, we have to find the gap around the communication or the lack of communication and how we talk to one another. Because when I listen to the what you just said, the example, the curse.
You're right.
The curse, it all was around and how I view it. It all was around communication. Eve did not say to Satan where she got this. I mean, say to Adam where she got this information from. She was manipulated to eat the fruit. And then in her manipulation, there was no communication there. And she took that to Adam and manipulated him to eat the fruit. Right. Now, Adam's weakness for Eve allowed him to do so. So there in a point shows us that the man is willing to please the woman. He's willing to do that even in that scenario. Mm-hmm. But the fact of the matter is we have to have open communication in all things, I feel, in order to have that balance that Raph was talking about.
Mm-hmm. All right. Okay. I agree. Jasmine said, what's up, Jasmine? Jasmine said, leading with respect, intent, willingness to listen, compromise, bend, and execute, and consider the thoughts and feelings of the woman. That's healthy masculine traits. Submission is simply respect, not power. All right, and Reese said nobody has all those things all the time, and I don't believe in human perfection. All right, for all the ladies out there, mm-hmm. Men should lead in the way he would want to be led, right? He should always respect the thoughts, feelings, opinions of his woman. He should bear those things in deep consideration. He should talk to her with respect. He should be honest. All of those things that y'all have mentioned, men should be. And then I guess you would be happy, or that would be the balance of which mm-hmm. makes a woman happy. Okay, I get it. Men should be that. Men won't always be that. Your leader in any situation won't always be that. But if you have them in the right perspective, right frame of mind, that you know that they still are the leader of this, whatever this is, the relationship, whatever this is, if you still have them there, you will also act accordingly, even if it doesn't fall in your favor.
Right.
If that makes sense.
I agree with that.
Even if it don't, or times when it won't.
It'll be easier for you to accept.
It'll be easier for you to accept if you still have them as what they're the leader. They're my head.
Because the respect is there.
They have been tasked. God has tasked them with leading me, this relationship and everything. I think if that was front of mind still, there'll be less issues.
Okay.
There'll also be less issues if men just act like they hear you, understand what you're saying.
Not act like baby.
Hear you.
Yeah.
Understand you. I mean, but acknowledge.
Yeah.
That we understand what you're saying.
Yes.
And then try to move forward. But I still feel like if we said all of those things that Jasmine said and Reese said.
No, you can't. You can't do that.
Hold on. I'm saying that there's still a fine line between, even if he does, and you still don't like what he's saying. And I feel like that's a large part of this still. It isn't just how he says it.
It's what
it
is
in
conjunction with.
Indeed, what he's saying that you're bumping against. In addition to how he says it.
Minister Reese said agreed. She did say agreed to what you said. I'm just thinking, me personally, with these specific people that we are mentioning that are toxic and masculinity and narcissistic and all that stuff, I just want to make it clear, and I'm sure y'all already know this because y'all are not, dumb, but he's not saying to stay with someone who doesn't possess all of the things that he said the man should possess. No one's telling you to put a narcissistic a-hole in authority and stay there where you're getting mentally, physically, or emotionally abused. So let's just say that no one's telling you to stay in any type of relationship like that. I just wanted to put that out there. If you're actually dealing with a true narcissistic person, no one's telling you to put him in authority and stay there and do what he said. I will say that because I think because we keep harping on this person, like that said. So I am gonna say that, and I'm also gonna say me personally how I feel, and I'm still having to learn to deal with this, even with not even just in a partnership or a relationship, just with people. Sometimes when because you know when someone is intending to hurt your feelings or disrespect you, and sometimes you know that that's not that person's intent. You can't always focus
or
on
that's not that character,
right? Because I'm sure your husband, and I think we might have picked the wrong example. That's why a lot of this turned as well. But I think once you know that person's intent, and like LaDonna said, and like people have said, once you know your partner, you'll know if they're actually truly disrespecting you or not. And so that's where I think the what is coming in. That's where I think the what, like that said, the what is being said is coming in rather than the how it's being said, because you truly know this person is not saying this to harm me, hurt my feelings, or disrespect me. So that's where I feel like you're just not liking what I said. Now you're trying to cover it up with how I said it. I think that's where
or you truly do have an issue with the how, but it's not as important as what is being said. Because even
that's what I was trying to say last episode.
Because even if the how hurt my feelings because I didn't expect that response, that don't mean that the what is not what we need to focus on right now. And we had made an example with parents and children when they're younger. And sometimes the sense of urgency make you act in a certain way, like, don't touch that stove, it's hot. And you're not like, oh, Morgan, don't touch the stove, baby, it's hot, it's gonna burn you. You be like, Morgan, don't touch the stove.
Right. Or if a kid's running in the street.
And you're gonna startle them. Or exactly, we used the example, if a kid is running in the street and you see a car coming and it's a possibility they're gonna get hit, you want to grab their attention to freeze them in the moment.
Right.
Rather
than don't run in the street, and then they run out and get hit by a car.
And they disregard what you're saying because it's not a sense of urgency or a sense of
firm and authoritative
importance there. So it depends, and Ralph said if we start to think like gods instead of humans, as a man thinketh,
so is he.
You know, you quoting the Bible, right?
Yeah. Now, and Ralph, I'm with you. I'm with you on that, and I do agree with Reese that it's a humility thing. Issue too.
It is.
And I do agree with that, Reese. It's back to the dynamic of who comes first, the follower or the leader.
Mm-hmm.
Do you put the followers first, then add the leader? Do you put the leader first, then add the followers? Because somebody has to follow suit. Jasmine said that a true leader know when to also follow. So we're talking about true leaders. It goes back to the fact that before you marry a dude, you have to marry a dude that you see as a leader. If you don't properly vet these dudes, and you're marrying them, I'm just gonna be honest. Mm-hmm. What did you like about him? Just the sex? Just that he make money? But if you don't see him as a leader, because you're gonna be following him,
that's gonna become an issue quickly.
That's gonna be an issue in your life. You need to be finding a mate that you see that has your best interests at heart. So even though this man might be talk crude sometimes, I know he cares about me. I know he loves me. I know he doesn't want any harm to come to me. I know when God gave a man protection as his thing to do, he gave him innate, senses and to how to protect, right? So part of that is having me and other men have access. Access is a weakness to protection. When too many people have access to something, your span of control or whatever that is, it loosens. So because we are built innately to protect, he gives us instincts that we see things that maybe you don't see. Because that in a nurturing category, which you have higher level of than we do, you're going to see some things that we don't see. That's a different dynamics between us. You're going to see some things in wisdom we don't see. We're going to see some things in provision and protection you don't see. And when we see something and we don't like it and we want to, get the span of control better so we can better do our job as protection, sometimes you will see that as controlling. You will see that as narcissistic. You will see that as other things. And we're saying, hey, I was born this way to protect. Like you got some dogs, alibis and Great Pyrenees that they protect the flock. They came out of their mother's womb, protected the flock, and they don't even know why they're protecting. It's an instinct that we have to protect. And when we get married and we have a wife, we know the wiles of the enemy. We know that the wolves are coming. So we try to make sure our flock is in the best possible position to be safe. And a lot of time we get scorned for that, because it bumps against some nature that you have or something that you have. And a lot of times that's an issue. And we blame it on the how. And I'm just saying that sometimes if you have your person in the right frame of mind, like my wife, I love my wife and I listen to my wife, and my wife, there's so much power in submission. You can lead by submission. You can have an undercurrent of submission that pushes me or your man to do anything you want him to do. If you're leading in femininity and softness and everything, but when you meet him with the rah-rah, the masculinity part, and y'all are bumping heads on the masculine level, he can't lead, and it's always going to be friction. But when a woman is truly in her feminine and understands that my man wants to do anything, he really wants to please me, and I can guide him. Let me just whisper this to him in wisdom and softness. We listen almost every time. And that's my take and my view. Some people might disagree with that.
Yep. Jasmine says, and as women, we also see things that men don't see.
Correct.
And that's where balance comes into play.
That's correct.
Where you are weak, we are strong.
That's correct.
I wanted, Ministries, I kind of got lost at where you said, nah, not narcissistic. That's apples and shellfish. I think we use narc way too casually. Could you let us know which statement
when
that
Marlon
was in
said,
reference
and
to?
he it can come off narcissistic sometimes.
Well, there are narcissists out there. I'm gonna give that. There are true narcissists and misogynists out there who just despise women and wants to lord over them and everything. Can I just say that for the record? I know that those men exist.
Mm-hmm.
But I think
Jasmine says being feminine possesses so much power.
It does, but at the same time, it does. But and then when men want women to be in a submissive role, and when women understand the power that it possesses, you don't hear the man saying, "Okay, she's being manipulative in her submission," because in the submission it does open up a lot of things, that a lot of desires, honestly, from which the female is wanting. It opened that up for them, because again, you see that the husband is always in a position or in a role to try to please the wife, make sure the family is okay, protect the family. And we never hear men say, like we hear women say, that men are being manipulative. A lot of women are manipulative, and a lot of women, because
it's called a Jezebel spirit.
It's called a Jezebel spirit. But because we were watching the show on Your Honor, where if y'all don't watch that, that's a good show. It's on Netflix. Y'all should go watch that. But we were watching Your Honor, and the wife of the mafia family,
she was ruthless. And he tried to please her.
He was totally the leader of his home. And she was undermining everything he was saying, going, and she tried to give him, he tried to give her everything that he wanted, and it seemed like nothing was good enough until eventually he just totally snapped. And when he snapped, she put a hit out on him, basically.
Right, she did.
She got upset and put a hit out on him. But I think just in that, if you go and watch the show, if you just look at their relationship, you would see that he was truly trying to be a leader of his home, and he didn't have the true submission of his wife that he needed to. But in that, he was still trying to give her like all of her desires, because that's just the nature of a husband and a wife.
Right.
Okay. To answer to that, I was going to say, so like when women, they feel this way, because a lot of women, they say they've been in relationships or they've seen it, and this is why what my last person did, I'm never going to be like that again and take that from no man and blah, 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 blah. And I think the same thing could kind of be vice versa when we call these men misogynistic and toxic masculinity. I think, what if they dealt with a woman and they like, I ain't gonna be with no be like that again, and that like we don't think
They
we
be like
don't
that. They
think
like that.
because we think, oh, a man is, I'm not, because that man did this, I'm not gonna do that. The same thing goes with men, so they didn't wake up like this, and some of them probably did, but I think a lot of them are acting like this because also of past relationships and past experiences with people. So we also have to keep that in mind. Like, oh, I'm acting like this because of past relationships and experience, but so is he. So I think a lot of people should come to relationships. And I think a lot of times, like what Dad said, that goes back to why you're dating someone. And that goes back to dating for marriage, and y'all got to be on the same wavelength. If you're dating for marriage and you're dating for fun and then y'all get married, that's not the same wavelength. And also, too, with this whole thing, we keep bringing it back to biblical. So that also goes back to, you want to be in a relationship that's equally yoked. If you believe and he don't believe, or he believe and she don't believe, and y'all have y'all like, and I know that you can cause someone to believe, but if y'all are not equally yoked, it's never going to work out, because
I think it can.
I don't. I think
the
Bible says,
but the wife can sanctify the husband.
That's what I'm saying. I think all of these things need to be, like you said, need to be vetted out in the process.
Because even on top of all that, is not only just that, it's also how you were raised and your own values. And this is outside of your personal belief, but it's just your own, your morals and your values and just your upbringing. You're also bringing that now into the relationship. So I may fold the towels this way, you may fold the towels this way. I may put the glasses in the top cabinet, you may put them over here in the side cabinet. Little things start to just pile up on marriages, because you taking two individuals and you bring it together and merging them together to live as one. And then it has to be back to that word, a balance. A balance on all
compromise comes
all things. Well. And that's where you have to have open communication, true and honest communication, in order to make it truly work.
And I want to say this for everyone. There is the far left, probably, which is the narcissist man, and the far right, which is a woman that just bumps against authority and don't want nobody telling her what to do. Period. She don't like it if she can't do what she want to do. Those are they're polar opposite sides, right? Somewhere in the middle are most people. There's some narcissists and there's some women that bump against everything if they don't like it. Somewhere there's a middle ground, right? So, and I think that's where we kind of have to dwell. Men are saying, women are saying, if you just listen to me, just take me and acknowledge my feelings, then we'd have a better situation. Men are saying, if you listen to me, what I'm saying, we'd have a better situation.
So why can't it be both?
And I think it has to be both.
Yes.
It has to be both. Men have to be compassionate and listening. Women have to be also understanding that if he
and take him for what he say.
If he's in that seat and you reverence him as so, then it's gonna be some things that you're not gonna want to do that you're gonna do, right? And there's somewhere in the middle. And I think we got to get to that point to understand that both men are talking about the women who don't want to listen to nothing, and women are talking about the dudes that are complete narcissists. But I'm just saying somewhere in the middle.
Well, I think,
and I think that I think there are a lot of women who are going to see things different. Women who were brought up in a dual family household. Morgan was brought up in a household where she had a dad that was acknowledged as the head of the house. So when she hears a man say this what's gonna happen, or my wife say, look, you don't have to ask your dad because that's gonna be the final say or whatever like that. She's used to a man being in that position. A lot of single women who are brought up in single family households with a mother have never seen a man have a in charge or an authoritarian voice. They've never seen that. They don't have a reference point to a man having authority and a woman giving him that authority. So a lot of women who were brought up in single mother households, and her mom is saying, F that nigga, he ain't worth whatever, blah, 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 blah. They gonna grow up with a different sense of a man having a say in what you do. And I think that the household dynamic and how you grew up
it definitely is important.
Also has a point in that. And if you have never seen that dynamic of a man in charge, you will always bump against it, I think. So I think a lot of that, men stay home, be with your children and your wife. Don't ditch your responsibilities. Even if y'all are not married, you can still be a father and a dad.
Mm-hmm.
You can still be a father and a dad and not be in the same household. You can pay your your child support, your child support check, and still be a father, not just
the check don't make you a father.
Writing a check that does not make you a dad or a father. Okay, just make you somebody writing a check. And if that dynamic was different, we see it different.
You're sponsored.
Yeah. Ralph said, okay, we go in it because it's 10 o'clock, y'all.
So
we go in it. When I read Ralph comment, he said it used to be called alpha. The alpha women pairs well with soft A dudes. The opposite is true. So he was like, all these folks, all these women that's trying to be hard, they go pair well with a soft dude. And the submissive women go pair with who they supposed to pair with. But
it's a shame.
It really is a shame, y'all. But it was a good conversation. I'm happy we did do a part 2 to this. It looked like we can actually do a part 3. I know we rehashed a lot of things, but it takes both. It's understanding that you can't talk to people any kind of way that's in any type of relationship, but also looking at what is being said and if that person truly is trying to mistreat you or give you wisdom. So we just need to take into consideration what is being said sometimes, and then just discuss the how later, I guess is what our takeaway is.
Right. Let's get through one first and then get to the other. Not try to get through both at the same time. Because I think that's what happens. We trying to, you saying your piece, you saying the what, and you saying the how at the same time. And let's just do one at a time.
Talking on different pages.
Yeah, one step at a time. Let's do the what was brought up first, and then we'll get to the how after we have gotten over and comprehended and came to a conclusion at the what.
Let's do the hierarchy of the conversation.
Right. First we have to agree that there's a hierarchy. If you don't even agree on that part, then we're in trouble. Just look back at the curse. And if you see yourself in that, and men, if you see yourself in that, acknowledge that. And I always feel like men in the leadership role, we need to see it first. And leadership is about action and understanding. If you can't get your people to follow, then you're not you're not leading. So it's incumbent upon us to make, I feel, changes first. And I understand all the men are going to disagree with me on that, but we got to find a way to lead with better humility, with
lead from the front,
and find a way to lead in a way that people wouldn't mind following. But also, women understand that in the Bible, it doesn't say, it says, it doesn't give you conditions. Can I say this to men and women? It said, men, love your wife like you love yourself, and like Christ loves the church. Love your wife. That's not a if she act right or if she submit. But also women, it didn't say submit, wives submit to your husband if he's leading right, or if there are no conditions on both sides. So once you marry, women, he is the head, And men, you gotta love her. And if you loved her like you love yourself, you listen to yourself, so you listen to your woman. Okay, and women likewise. There's no conditions in that. When he start leading right, then I'll submit. It does not say that. So
I think we came to a happy conclusion. Jasmine said, I had to miss part one and some of this good convo. And Mr. Reese said, we finally understood each other, child. So that sounds like a good conclusion.
And Ralph said, nice convo, dope family. So,
all right. Thank you, Ralph. Thank you.
Thanks, Ralph.
Thanks, Jasmine. Thanks, Reese.
I think we understood each other from the beginning. We just wanted to get our parts, our sides out.
Because you have to speak from everybody's perspective.
That's
because everybody has to know that they're being heard. So we're hearing you from each perspective. Then we're going to try to bring it on home. Yeah. So I hope that's what we did. And I know you all contributed to that a lot tonight. So.
All right, and that ends our podcast. Morgan, you want to say something before we go?
I was going to say good night.
All right, this is the longest podcast we ever had, but it was a good conversation, so I don't mind. I don't care. So. Thank y'all for listening in. Continue to submit your comments under the post, under the viewing, and we may do a 3 on this. On another level, we might take it to another place, but we will do that. So until next